But ladies, do not feel guilty. Hello mamas and mamas to be. My name is Anna and I make lifestyle, fashion, and pregnancy related videos. If that's your type of thing, join the fam and subscribe. I'd love to have you here. Today I'm covering my first trimester symptoms and the symptoms that led me to find out that I have Graves' disease. So the first trimester, weeks 1 to 13, is definitely an action-packed trimester because your body is creating something from nothing. Your baby changes from a single fertilized cell to the embryo that implants itself into your uterine wall and grows to a peach-sized bundle of growing limbs and body systems. Organs take shape, the baby starts to move, and due to all of these massive changes, you're definitely gonna feel a lot of interesting symptoms. I'll first dive into the typical pregnancy symptoms I experienced, and then I'll summarize the unique symptoms I felt that led me to find out that I had a hyperthyroid issue in the form of Graves' disease. I'll talk about how I felt in terms of body, appetite, and mood. So the most noticeable changes I felt were nausea, extreme tiredness, bloating, excess saliva, disappearance of acne, itchy nipples, and just in general super dry and itchy skin. Nausea is probably the most common out of all these symptoms that, most women feel, and I definitely felt nauseous. I was a little bit worried because my nausea didn't start until about 9 or 10 weeks, but it did last a little bit longer into my second trimester. I believe it lasted until about week 16. And at first it came in waves, only in the morning, but then grew to be throughout the whole day. Although I never actually threw up, anytime my stomach was reaching empty, I would start to feel that nauseating feeling. I felt like I was about to throw up. So to combat this, I would have crackers constantly. I had crackers all over the house. I had little stashes in the kitchen, the living room, the bedroom, you name it. And it really helped having multiple little Ziploc bags throughout the house because, girl, you don't want to have to run all the way to the kitchen every single time you feel on the verge of throwing up. I would highly recommend having a stash, even on your bedside table. I would randomly wake up, and several times I woke up in the middle of the night or the very early morning feeling like I might throw up. And thanks to having the crackers and lemon water on my bedside table, I could easily help myself without disrupting my husband too much. Although, the munching sounds kind of did wake him up. But anyway, other than crackers, I noticed if I kept myself full of food, the nausea would not be so strong. So let's talk about food sensitivities and other sensitivities for a moment. I basically became Italian. All I craved was pasta sauce of any kind, except pesto gave me extreme heartburn, unfortunately, and I really love pesto sauce. Toast, crackers, tomatoes, bananas. As long as the food didn't have a strong taste and was in the color schemes of beiges, nudes, and reds, I was good. It was honestly the most weird thing I have ever experienced because I'm a foodie and I love food, and only being able to eat food that's red or beige or nude was kind of limiting. So while we're on the topic of sensitivities, let's not forget about smell. Smell sensitivities were through the roof. I could not stand the smell of cooking, especially garlic. Like, it was revolting to me. It made me so nauseous and dizzy. I could honestly smell it from a mile away and just I just wanted to run away. It was so disgusting. I could also smell just anything from a mile away because, my sense of smell definitely became stronger. My teeth also started to be sensitive to hot and cold, and my gums started to be super sensitive too. So while flossing and brushing my teeth, I would sense some bleeding, and apparently that's normal. So those are all of the sensitivities that I've experienced. I also experienced extreme tiredness, and this is also a very common symptom in the first trimester, because your body is doing all the initial work and growing the initial organs of the baby. I honestly felt like a truck hit me 10 times. It feels like you just swam 10 kilometers on 4 hours of sleep. It's bizarre how tired I felt, but I didn't realize it at the time. In that moment, I thought I was just tired from work. I would constantly find myself just exhausted, and I remember sitting at my desk and just my eyes would roll back. I was like falling asleep at my desk, and just only to jump up and realize I'm falling asleep. It was not fun. The only thing that I found that sort of worked for me on those days was having a decaf coffee in the morning and then a real coffee at lunch, so I don't exceed that 120 milligrams, 1 cup per day of caffeine, you know, that budget, because when you're pregnant, you shouldn't really have caffeine. So I personally always felt the worst around 1 p.m. after eating lunch, and also around 5 o'clock after work was done. So having that coffee in the second part of my day was really helpful in holding me over until bedtime most days. I remember some days I would finish work and take a 15-minute nap in my car in the parking lot before driving home, and that was honestly a savior. I would then have enough energy to complete my day, whether I had to get groceries or make dinner when I got home or just finish other projects. That nap would give me that little boost of energy that would take me throughout until the end of the day. But ladies, do not feel guilty for coming home and going straight to bed, because there were many days when I just could not do life after 5 o'clock. Like, I just could not, and spent the rest of the day lounging out in bed. Bloating is another common symptom in the first trimester. I can't say that this was a big symptom for me, but I did feel it towards the end of my first trimester. You know, I started to feel that little bloat in the lower abdomen as if you're getting your period. Clothing started to feel a little bit more tight, and around 10 weeks and onwards, I even started to shop for looser fitting clothing, and I think I even bought my first pair of maternity clothing during that time as well. During the first trimester, many women find that saliva builds up in their mouths, sometimes to the point of interfering with talking. So I definitely experienced the symptom, and I never knew that this was a symptom I would experience during pregnancy or first trimester, and I just found it so odd because I would find myself speaking and spitting at the same time and like swallowing way more than usual. Let me know in the comments below if you experienced this symptom, because I was so confused when this started happening until I consulted Dr. Google and found out it's totally normal. All right, so in terms of skin, there were some wild things going on with my skin during the first trimester, some that I was really happy about, others not so much. And luckily, the skin on my face improved as weeks went on. My usual acne-prone and oily skin type was disappearing, and my skin slowly went from being the oily type to a new kind of drier type, so hello new skin. But the rest of my skin was not super happy, to say the least. I was feeling super itchy on my stomach, nipples, legs, you name it. And it really helped that it was winter at the time as well. No. And so my skin was already dry because of winter. So to combat this, obviously, as any human would do, I tried to lather myself in lotion as much as I could. But if you know me, you know I don't love having lotion on my body. For some reason, I just feel like I'm not clean. Like, I feel like I need to wash it off. I don't know, it's just this weird thing I have. I feel my whole life, anytime I put like lotion all over my body, I just feel like I need to shower and wash it off. But this pregnancy has definitely taught me to love my lotions and you know, to forget about being dirty, because I was so dry. I was desperate. I was using so many different creams. I was using oils, coconut oil. That's pretty much what I have lived on the whole trimester. So that pretty much summarizes my first trimester symptoms that were normal. So now I'm going to talk about the not so normal symptoms I experienced, and I just want to mention that I'm not a doctor and I had no clue at the time that something was wrong, but I had a gut feeling something was a bit off, and all I suggest to you is that if you feel something slightly off, just go get it checked. Don't post about it on social media. Don't ask your secret Facebook group friends, those groups that nobody else is a part of. They are not doctors. Just seek the help and ask a healthcare professional, please. In my case, I was already getting checked for all my vitals that are typically done in the beginning of pregnancy, so obviously my results came back abnormal. Have I not had something come up in those tests, I would definitely speak up and let my doctor know so that I could understand what was going on with my body and obviously get it resolved. Okay, now that that's out of the way, here are the slightly unusual symptoms I experienced that led to finding out I had Graves' disease. Symptom number 1, I was hot. Like, I was sweating hot. This isn't normal. In your first trimester, you shouldn't feel this hot. It was unbearable. It was still winter at the time, and usually I'm super cold. Now I know I'm pregnant and maybe I should be a little bit hotter, but not to the extent of, you know, not needing a jacket to go outside. Like, I could literally unzip my jacket when it was like below, I don't even know, below 0 outside. Another symptom that I felt was shortness of breath. And when I mean shortness of breath, I mean no breath. I can't even take a breath. Like, I cannot breathe. Shortness of breath type of breath. I remember driving with my husband and literally telling him I'm dying, like I can't breathe, I'm dying. I would open up the window because I thought maybe I was just hot, because obviously I was also hot, but I remember opening up the window for more air, and girl, that did not help whatsoever. Like, I just could not breathe. Just like a one-woman show, so my camera just turned off and I can't remember where I was. Pregnancy brain. Something else I noticed that was not right with me was that I was very, very anxious. My poor husband had to deal with me throughout this, and God bless his soul, he has been through so much with this pregnancy because it has not been an easy ride. I was anxious to the point where my husband and I would be getting into fights over like bread. I would be crying over the most silliest things and I'd just be worrying about such, you know, irrelevant topics, but that was what it was. This leads me to my last symptom of them all, which is heart palpitations. This is probably the most important symptom, and I'm leaving it last because I really want to stress the fact that you know something is wrong when your heart is beating extra beats or much faster than usual. I honestly remember lying down to go to bed and my heart's like, as if I just ran a marathon, you know, like that's not normal. And if you're experiencing something like this, like don't hesitate, go see a doctor. Something's wrong, you know, and thank God I went and saw a doctor and they put me on special pregnancy safe medication, which eventually stabilized my Graves' disease. But, you know, it was a scary time in the beginning finding out that I had this issue and what are these pills and all those things, you know? So that's it. That is a quick summary of my crazy symptoms that I experienced. I hope your first trimester is going smooth and that you're not experiencing any outrageously crazy symptoms. And don't forget to let me know in the comments below. Like, I want to know what you ladies are experiencing because every pregnancy and every girl and woman is just so different, and I just find it so fascinating. I hope you liked this video and gained some insight. If you did, don't forget to punch that like button. It helps me understand if I'm doing a good job and if you're enjoying my content. Also, subscribe if you're new. Seriously, subscribe. I'd love to have you. And most importantly, don't forget, always be yourself, be selfless, and never settle for less. Goodbye.